Hello everyone, my name is Sarthak. I'm a third year law student at the National Law School of India, University Bangalore, and I'm legal faculty at Clark Tutor. Today, we are going to start with a session on the Constitution. The class for this session was taken on the 30th of July 2021, and this is more of a refresher on what we discussed in class. In this session, we are going to cover four important topics. The first will be just a general introduction to the Constitution, general trivia that you could expect questions from. Then we'll discuss the Constituent Assembly, the members of the Constituent Assembly, the people who are very important in that, and some important dates that you might need to remember because these are questions that CLAT does ask. We'll discuss the sources of the Constitution and different parts thereof, and we'll discuss the preamble. With that being said, let's move on to the preamble more squarely. The preamble is something that you may be familiar with if you are have ever if you have ever gone to school in a state board or with the CBSE, and any books that you may have had, the first page contains the preamble of India. The preamble of India, as you may be familiar, we the people of India having solemnly resolved to constitute India into a sovereign, socialist, secular, democratic republic. These words contain a lot of meaning. Let's start off with we the people of India. I already mentioned that the idea of the people giving to themselves this constitution is something that we got from the United States. That we are constituting ourselves into a sovereign means that we alone decide what our country does. No other power from outside governs India. India alone governs itself. That is the meaning of sovereign. Socialist is a later addition to the preamble. Socialist means that the government has the power to enforce socio-economic justice, to redistribute resources, and that the government alone controls a lot of resources that it can use to create welfare. The idea of a welfare state is something that is rooted in the word socialism. The word secular is also very controversial but has a lot of meaning behind it. Secular does not mean that we favor one religion or that we hate all religions. Secular just means that India as a state will not have a state religion. India will not be partial to one religion. It will respect all religions equally. And in that respect, India will not be a godless state. India will not be a theocratic state. India will just be secular in the sense that any religions that exist will find respect and will find protection in India. That is the intent behind the word secular. That being said, the word democratic is quite clear. It would be quite intuitive for you as well. Democracy means that the people select who governs the country. It is not like an autocratic system where whoever has power just becomes the government. It is a democratic system where everyone has the power to select who governs the country. And the idea of a republic is that there is no king or a queen at the helm of affairs. There is a president who is nominated. This president is there for a selected amount of selected period of time, and after they go away, the next president does not necessarily have to be related to this president. In a monarchy, it so happens that there is sort of succession by descent and bloodline. If I am the king and my son would then become the king and then his daughter would become the queen, this system is something that we did away with entirely to have a republican system where the president could be nominated and every subsequent iteration of the president would be someone else who need not be related to the previous president. So these are the ideas that these are the ideas that were constituted into the fabric of our being. Other than that, we want to secure to all of its citizens, we the people of India through this constitution want to secure to all of these citizens justice, social, economic and political. There can be political justice where we want people to be given their rights. However, we also recognize that there are certain social inequalities between people that we also want to cure because it would be just for people to have a similar social standing. Similarly, there could be class distinctions. People could be rich, people could be poor. However, economic justice would mean that the poor would be given equitable resources so that they can also rise in life, and there cannot be class distinctions that sort of erase people's rights. So economic justice would be that no one would be left wanting for more. Then there's the idea of liberty, of thought, expression, belief, faith, and worship. As I mentioned earlier, India as a secular nation respects all religions, protects all religions. So there is liberty of thought. You can have any sort of political thought, any sort of religious faith, any sort of form of worship. And in India, you have the liberty to practice all of these things, and the state will protect these liberties. The concept of equality would mean, as I mentioned earlier, the idea of justice is that no one should be left wanting, no one should be politically weak, no one should be socially backward. The idea of equality is an extension to that very thought itself, that people would be equal in status before the law, people would have equal opportunities before the law, and equality is one of these foundational principles of like our constitution. And similarly, we talk about fraternity. Fraternity just means that all of us live together, all of us come together in ensuring the dignity of the individual and the unity and integrity of the nation. Fraternity would then mean that all of the people in this country are part of a same family and they have their interests tied with each other, in that everyone has dignity and all of us stand together for the unity of India and for the integrity of the nation. The integrity bit is also something that was added later. However, it is also something that is expressed in the constitution to begin with, in the preamble to begin with. So these are the ideas that we got from the French Revolution: liberty, equality, and fraternity. Justice we got from the USSR. Equality is also somewhat like affected by the US. The idea of we the people is something from the US. And as I mentioned earlier, the ideas of socialist, secular, and integrity, all of these ideas were added to the preamble later on. This was through the 42nd Constitutional Amendment Act in 1976. So you need to remember that as of 1976, these four words were added: socialist, secular, and integrity. Like, and doesn't really count. So that being said, these are the contents of the preamble, just a general explanation. Now there are two important cases to remember with respect to the preamble. First is the case of the Berry Union, which is I think 1968 or 1960, something like that. The year is not important. What you do need to know is that the Berry Union case said that the constitution is that the preamble is a key to the constitution. It may not be a part of the constitution. It may not have any terms that have any power by themselves. Just because the preamble says that we are socialists doesn't mean that the constitution is socialist. That is what the intent of Berry is, that whatever is stated in the preamble does not really dictate what the constitution says. So it may be a key to the constitution. It may be easy to identify what the constitution says because the preamble says certain things, but the preamble is not really a part of the constitution. That is what the Berry Union case said. However, in 1973, in Keshav Nanda Bharati versus the state of Kerala, there is an entire change in this approach. In Keshav Nanda Bharati, the Supreme Court realized that the preamble itself contains the spirit of the constitution. As the objective resolution of the Constituent Assembly, the preamble is what the Constituent Assembly was aspiring towards when they were making the constitution. So it contains the spirit of the constitution. And to that effect, at least, it is a part of the constitution as well. They cannot say that the constitution, the preamble is not a part of the constitution. In fact, it is so fundamentally a part of the constitution that it is a part of the basic structure of the constitution. And the idea behind the basic structure is that you can't really amend it at all. Even if the parliament has all of its amendment procedures sorted, you can't really amend the basic structure of the constitution so as to change the entire shape of the constitution. One of these elements of the constitution would therefore be the preamble and the ideas contained in the preamble. And no matter which parliament comes to power, no matter which government is in power, they can't change these ideals that are expressed in the preamble, that are expressed in the constitution. And therefore, the preamble being part of the basic structure is very much a part of the constitution as well. With that being said, we come to the end of this introductory session on what the constitution is. In our next session, we'll cover the first few articles of the constitution and we'll try and begin with the fundamental rights. But at present, you are now aware of generally what the constitution is. You're aware of the Constituent Assembly that gave shape to this constitution, the important dates at which this constitution was given its shape and meaning. And you're aware of all the sources that inspired some elements and some parts of the constitution. With that, I think that this session can be concluded. Now, you can leave any and all feedback in the comments, and thank you so much. Do give your feedback in the comment section. In case you have any doubts, mail us at hello@clacktutor. See ya.